Hey, hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is Patron Hangout number 70. I want to welcome everybody in the chat room who are freezing to death in certain places in this country. Hey, Annie Haley, you're back. Yay. Sorry, it's very excited. Annie has been very busy lately, so I know she's having trouble coming to the Hangouts, but I miss her sense of humor, which is scary, but that's why I like it. Let's see. Who else is here? Maui Swift is here. Who was here? I think you were here. Were you early? Who was early here? Oh, Kelly was the early one. Kelly came in real early. Sarah Adams is here, and I was going to play that. we were talking gangster rap and before the show, and I happen to love the Warren G song "Regulate," and I was going to play it, but then I realized I probably screw my video and they would get me for, copyright and, that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to sing it badly for you. Anyway, hi, Christine. It's warm now in Minnesota. It's 30 degrees instead of minus 40. Awesome. Tikkun is here. Let's see who else is here. Marzena is here. Let's see. Benny is here. Hey, Benny. What are you doing up very late, Benny? Let's see. Is now what is it 1 a.m. in Denmark. Oh my gosh, Erica is here, Mary is here, Grandma Tat is here, and Libman is here. Hi, Ann. And Annie Haley, I see you again. I'm going down the list now. Sarah Oakley is here. What? Wait, I gotta read this one. Do you think Pat stretches to warm up for the lives? Not really. I just try to get everything done, which is that's the hard part. It's the light setup. It's finding out if your microphone's actually working. And there's reflections in my eyeglasses, which drive me nuts. And then something goes wrong, like the internet goes out. It's fun stuff live. Lisa N is here. And can everybody hear me while I'm mentioning microphone issues? I want to be sure before I keep going. And let's see who else is here who I haven't said. Midgie is here. And let's see who else is here right now. Unique Laura is here. Oh my goodness. Hi. Wow. You're finally here. Isn't that awesome? Hi. I've been listening for a while. I've been intrigued. Finally joined. Good to be here. Yay. Loud and clear. Okay. That's cool. And let's see. Florence is here too. And if I missed you, sorry. And if you're coming in, I probably won't get your name, but when you're coming in. All right. And if you'd like to be in the chat room, it is patron only. All my lives are patron only, although all my shows are public, and you can always comment at YouTube, see my shows and comment at YouTube. But all my actual live part is patron only, and you can go to the link below and join down there and be part of our community. And it's a great community. That's all I can say. Okay, I'm hot. Now, all right. I want to start off with let's see if my picture came over. I was trying to get a picture that was taking its sweet time, and I don't think it made it over. Sometimes it's really weird, a picture coming from one device to another sometimes just takes like 20 minutes. So anyway, it's very, very sad to me. Is the impending, I would say the impending death, something murdered my great loved one of 41 years. Let me show you a picture I got on my computer because I'm on my iPad so here it is. Can you see it? That is my clover plant. My clover plant, which I have watered for 41 years. I moved into a house in 1982, and that plant was there when I arrived, and I took care of it for 41 years. And if you have to understand this, I kill everything. So this is the only plant I've ever had and ever kept and thought, okay, this is the one I'm going to keep alive because it's a weed. How can this go wrong? And then all of a sudden in the last couple of weeks, I don't know if somebody came in, was cleaning the house and sprayed something on it and murdered my plant. But my poor plant, after 41 years, that's what's left of it. That is a crime, isn't it? Really sad. So I don't think it's coming back after all this time. So I have done what you got to do when you suck at this anyway. I have now, we can't even see this. What the heck? Wait a minute. You know what's going on? Hold on a second. I got to fix something. I have a background as the green screen when I don't need a green screen. Oh, there we go. Oh, there. Okay. So I took the green screen thing off. So this is going to be my new plant. I'm going to put it in the thing, and it will last another 40 years without me doing a damn thing with it. Straight from Amazon. See how life goes. It's very sad. Can't believe my plant's dead. I tell you. I'm sorry for your loss. It's pretty minor compared to this show. It definitely is minor compared to the show. So, but it still was my plant. Anyway, let's see. I am NRN. Hello, patent community. My grandson is spending the night, so I won't be able to stay for long. I know how that goes, but I want to say hello. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad you're here too, and take care of your grandson. Most important. R.I.P. plant. Rest in peace, plant. Oh, my poor plant. I mean, I know it's like the old story about the hammer that somebody's had in their for like a couple hundred years, and they say, is it the original hammer? And they say, yes. I've only had to replace the head of the hammer like 20 times, and the wood part of the hammer 20 times. But it's the same hammer. I think my plant is like that. I'm sure pretty much these are all new little things that pop up. It's not the same plant for 41 years, but it was the only thing I ever kept alive. Like my animals, yes, my animals. I'm a good animal keeper, but I'm terrible at plants. So I'll go fake. It's about that time. I don't have to worry anymore. I don't have to ask people to take care of my things for me. My animals aren't with me, and now I got this. So anyway, that is my sad story for this morning. All right, now I have to say just a couple things about Idaho as we start the show. One is the most amazing news. I mean, came out on, let's see, New York Post, Fox News, ABC, MSN. It's out there. It's out there, everywhere. And it's very important news from Idaho. Ex-tenant says the floors creak in the house where those 4 students were murdered. The floors creak. Yes, that's national news. This is how sad it is when the news media does not know how to appropriately handle putting out valid information and valuable information. And the claim about the ex-tenant, because the ex-tenant is going to be a profiler in his own right. And then the host of shows can then discuss how right or wrong he is, like I'm going to. So he says, well, it's a creaky floor. So how did somebody get in there and do something if the floors creak? Oh my God. I lived in a 250-year-old house for many years. Let me tell you, all my floors creaked. They were pine boards. And I also had renters. So guess what happens when you have renters? You don't pay attention to creaking boards, because it's not like your family is settled in for the night and then you hear something. You got renters. They get up, they go to the bathroom. And on top of that, they had a dog that could run around. So that floors creaked in a house, and that renters were going to pay attention to, they heard a creaky floor, is ridiculous. So is this news, and does it need to be made news by the news channels? And my answer to that is no. It's just plain stupid. And then we have this thing that came out, and I do want to comment on this for another reason. We have, let's see, where's our story about that? Oh, yes. This Looney Tune. Where's the Looney Tune? Okay. And Looney Tunes can be really dangerous. So this Looney Tune. All right. So this Looney Tune has apparently an Instagram channel with supposedly 100,000 people, although her YouTube channel is kind of weak. She does tarot cards, and she determined from her tarot cards and her brilliance that Rebecca Schofield, who is this woman, is a professor and is suing this idiot because she literally claimed she is the killer or hired the killers, somebody to kill the students. So the professor accused, let me read the story, accused by a TikToker, it wasn't Instagram, TikToker, big difference, of ordering a hit. Oh, she ordered the hit. Oh, I get that straight. This is really important, And the police give her the all clear, although TMZ says for now. Really, TMZ? Well, it's TMZ. There we go. Reliable news. Okay. They've all but cleared. Police have all but cleared the University of Idaho professor accused by a TikToker of ordering the brutal murders of 4 college students. They stated that they don't think she had anything to do with it. You know, not and wonder why that is. Well, I think it's because A, she was out of town, and B, she didn't know any of them. Yeah, she didn't know any of the victims, and she wasn't in town. And so she's actually suing. Good for her. Good for her. It's about time. It's about time somebody does that. Now, I do know there is a gray area between accusations and pointing out. And some people could say, well, you've accused people. I'm like, no. Oh, shoot. Hold on a second. Did I leave my phone on? What made that noise? Sorry. It's a weird noise in here. Okay. Anyway, I'm analyzing a crime. I point out what the police will be looking at. That this person, they have to look at this person for this reason. There's evidence that supports that, you know, there's a possibility this person could be the person. But there's always that point where you have to say, you know, you don't actually know. And you're not saying that person did it. You're not encouraging other people to go after that person because you decide that that person is the killer, for goodness sakes. And a lot of people do cross that line. And so when they do cross that line, I think at some point they need to be taken down. So I'm glad this professor is taking that move. And on that note, I'm going to get your comments in a minute on this whole bit. But on that note, here's been my concern recently, and I've seen this. This has been an increasing problem with the massive amount of internet we have with YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. That when I started on TV, which was somewhere around 2003, I can't quite remember, which was 2002, 2003. I think one of the earliest things I talked about was Chandra Levy, maybe. I can't quite remember. What we had experts were brought in to give their opinion, not on who did it, but to analyze the case. So I would go on and I would say, here's my viewpoint on the case. And education, I tried to stay very educational even back in the day, and not go off on some nonsense stuff. But people wanted to understand things. So it's like, okay, fine, we got experts here to help you understand politics, help you understand history, help you understand crime, help you understand, you know, all kinds of things, nutrition, whatever it is. Now, experts aren't always right, but hopefully they bring in reasonable experts, although a lot of times they don't vet, bring people in to give an explanation, hopefully a real explanation, not just an opinion. All right, so at that point in time, I know that there was no way for people to really contact me except through email. And I would get emails that said, oh, I like what you said. And emails that said, you're an idiot, you know, different ones that came in. But there was no community of people where people could all get together and comment. And then over the years, that has changed dramatically. So even if you do just one thing on television, people everywhere can comment in big groups. Now, I'm not against that either. But the thing that has come out of that is crime-solving groups. And this is really, really bugs me. And a lot of experts are pushing this stuff. It's like, okay, out there, all my people following me, we're going to try to solve this crime. Not just regular YouTubers, but actual experts have these groups. And it's okay, I think, in my opinion, to have a group in a private situation or to have a group in a classroom situation. Sometimes when I've done training in law enforcement, I have put a case out there and everybody tries to solve the case in private to try to understand the process and to see what the other people who are in the business are coming up with. And in a classroom, you have students, and the students are supposed to respect the teacher as an authority, mind you. And the teacher is an expert. So then the teacher teaches, and then the students get in there and they do their little thinking, and they present, and the teacher corrects and then, you know, supports what she thinks is valuable. And hey, you did a good job on that. The student is in a learning situation. They do not believe they are capable necessarily of solving a crime. They're learning things. What I see happening now is that even experts will go out there and put out stuff in the public as a crime solving thing. And now the public gets involved. We're going to solve this crime as if everybody there has any ability. Now, there might be a one or two. I'm not saying a regular person who's not a detective or a profiler can't analyze well. I've run into those people. But it is different when you have a large group. You have so many voices and the voices overlap. And then they bring in information that is not factual. And this drives me crazy on my own channel. Somebody just came in on the 2 missing girls in Panama. I get this all the time. They'll come in and, having watched other channels, will come in and say, oh, well, I disagree with you. This is what really happened. And I'm like, this is an educational channel. And if you were a student in my classroom, I would tell you to stop right there. Where are you getting your information from? And I'd say, no, you don't present that to the class because you have not properly vetted the information. You're just getting crap from all over the internet and people's emotional views and some other YouTuber doesn't know anything or some agenda-driven something. And so now you think you're solving crimes. You're not. And you're getting a big group together and you're not solving crimes. And I see people with these cold case groups now, even professionals, getting together these groups to solve cold cases. And it drives me nuts because the cold case to be solved is in the detective's hands. All right. It's a police matter. It's not a public matter. Now, if you have legitimate information to give to the police, good. Give that information to the police, but don't sit outside and think you're going to gather up this information and you're going to solve this crime. And of course somebody will point out one person managed it. It's becoming a real problem because the groups are out of control. You have a lot of complete amateurs, armchair profilers coming to conclusions that are not conclusions that a professional would come to. Now, professionals aren't always right, but still, it's like saying, let me think of something. Okay. Let's say you have a soccer game and all of a sudden you have these people who've never played soccer, think they're going to coach the game. It's ridiculous. They can't coach a game. They don't know anything. Oh, they go, oh yeah, but I watched some on TV. Okay. I watched a game last week. Okay. You're not a coach. You haven't played the game. You haven't learned all the methods of playing the game. You do all that, you can become a coach. I don't like participation trophy crap. And I think we're getting there with everybody is participating and they think they're going to get a trophy for doing so because somehow that makes them equivalent to the people who are actually skilled, and I objected when my kids play baseball and soccer and all these things, these participation trophies. I'm like, and it's like you have to learn the game. You have to get good at it. And then you get some kind of credit because you're actually able to show skill. I don't know, it's just my take on it. So I see this spreading on the internet. I see it spreading on YouTube. And I've seen experts starting up these groups and they make people very emotional about the victims and they get huge followings, but it's because people do like to be involved. They do like the idea of solving a crime. I get it. But it's not necessarily a correct thing to do. And so, you get a whole lot more clicks. You will get a huge subscription base. You'll make a crap load of money if you can build these groups of, we're all going to solve crimes. I just think it's wrong. And I think it's taking its toll. And it's frustrating police departments. It's frustrating victims' families because people aren't coming forth with information. They're coming forth with bad theories, bad analyses. And I think it's gotten a little out of hand. That's my soapbox for tonight. So I'll stop now. I'll check your comments. Oh my goodness. Sarah says, people are under such delusions. I just can't. I can't when the chat is overtaken by people dropping names. Yeah, and that gets very, very popular. I know who did it. This person did it. And it's, they actually say specifically, this person committed the crime. And there's no way of knowing. We don't even seem to know after they're convicted if they committed the crime, much less before we get there. So we can believe this person is a good suspect. And that's as far as we should ever go. Oh, people that echo each other without evidence, like probably a hunter or in the army. Yeah. And I have to say, experts do this too. They come up with some conclusion that they can't, especially if you haven't even looked at the crime scene. Just because a person uses a knife doesn't mean, oh, I was going to show a picture of that. Dang it, I forgot to do it. I have the great picture of a woman cutting a pumpkin. You know what I mean? She's got a huge kitchen knife, going into this pumpkin. And you look at that and you go, she can handle a knife, She can handle a knife. She's not a hunter. She's not a fisherman. She's a pumpkin cutter, Mommy with a big, huge knife, kitchen knife, do damage. And so you have to be very careful when you come and say these, just throw these things out there. But then what happens from there is people go from that conclusion to then finding a person who fits that conclusion. And that did happen in Idaho about the hunting thing. Really badly, that happened in Idaho. Oh, very good of ALW. The more I learn here, the more I realize how much I don't know. It generally speaking, when you're learning anything, it does take years to absorb lots of information. And this is one thing I think is very important for the police and detectives. And one reason sometimes small departments have trouble with certain cases, they just haven't seen much. They may be good being police officers and detectives for normal things in town. They ran into a weird crime and they've never experienced that weird crime before. Then, you look at it and go, oh my God, and you don't know what to think. And that's one of the reasons, a theory behind the value of real criminal profilers is that you've seen a whole heck of a lot. Seen a ton of different kinds of crimes, from serial homicides to domestic homicides to thrill kills to all kinds of different things. And because you're not working for just one department, and depending on the crimes that happen there, and you also have the time, because if you're working a working detective, they work hard and they don't have a lot. They have enough time. They're hard. It's hard to have enough time to work the case, much less go home to your family. So my respect to all the detectives who work their butts off. So they don't have an excessive amount of time to then start studying a whole pile of other cases. Where a profiler, because somebody like me is not involved in the actual going out to the scene, doing interviews, writing all those long reports, all that kind of stuff, and dealing with the department and everything else that goes on. I can just look at the scene. I mean, just information, and that's it. One after the other, which would theoretically allow a person to get more skilled because they've seen hundreds of different kinds of crimes, as opposed to maybe 3 or 4 in their department, or 0 if you're in a really small department. So in my opinion, yeah, it takes a while to learn, to see enough things to experience that. And that's true in any field. So if you're studying history, you're studying anything, literally anything, you can't, when you come in, you're 18 years old and you take your first course on whatever, you don't know much, you know about that much. And it only takes, if you're a historian, for example, you have to read so many books on history from so many different angles so that you can develop a complete understanding of world history and how things unfold. You can't just get that from your one textbook you took in high school and say, I'm a historian. No, you're not. You've read some history, not a historian. So VLW says, I've almost finished your book, Pat, The Profiler, and I'm blown away by how many police departments don't act on the information you make available to them. That's scary. They couldn't. This is the problem. And that's why I stopped doing a majority of cold case work. And I prefer to do training. And this is what I'm working on, because it is in the first 48. That's so important. It's important. I would love to see every big police department have a profiler right there with them. So in the first 48, they have that extra help studying the crime scene. I'd like to see more training before people become detectives, especially going into homicide. But by the time I came in, I could, as quote, solve the crime. And I think I've solved quite a few of those crimes. Never will see the inside of a court because the evidence isn't there anymore to prosecute. And consequently, it leaves everybody in a bad situation. The police don't want to admit that they don't have the evidence. They can't say, oh, Pat Brown came in, she solved the crime, we look like idiots now, we don't have any evidence. That's career suicide, departmental suicide, political suicide. You can't do it. So basically, if they realize it, that I actually have pointed out something that they wish they had done 4 years prior, all they can do is say, thank you very much, Pat. And I leave, and they just take that my profile and just hide it someplace. And I go home and don't get any credit, but it's because I understand where they're coming from. It's a very bad situation. So that's why I sort of said, most of the time it's not worth me doing cold case work because it's too late. So cold cases are almost always solved with DNA now. That's it. Because if you can't solve the case without the DNA, you probably have almost no physical evidence, maybe some circumstantial evidence, and not enough. And it's too late. So you need DNA or a confession. So that's the way it goes. I'm fairly new to true crime, hi Martha. So wondering if Idaho has a feeding frenzy never seen before. No, I think this is true. Kelly's saying the Gabby Petito case was huge. Yes, that one. Oh my goodness. The more horrible the case is, if you can say something is more horrible than something else, the more likely you are to have a feeding frenzy. And the more unsolved it is, and you have no clue. And Delphi was pretty much a feeding frenzy as well. Two teenage girls go for a walk in a park and get murdered. And then there's creepy pedophile, catfishing them. So, that was a big one too. So I understand the fascination with unsolved crimes. And I understand the family wanting the crime not to be forgotten, because sometimes it's true the squeaky wheel does get more work done. In other words, the police, if they feel pressured, are more likely to put more effort in than if they don't feel pressured. This is true. So part of me says, yes, I understand keeping it in the media. Another part of me says some of it has just gotten so excessive, and especially with Delphi. I can't tell you how many, a few dozen people had fingers pointing at them. People said they did it when they didn't. So, and nobody even, the guy that finally gets arrested, they're like, who? I say, oh, you never pointed your finger at him, huh? How good did you do? So there we go. The bigger the body count, there's a truth in that. There really is a truth in the bigger the body count. Benny says, nobody knows everything, but profiling is about learning to use logic, probability, and seeing the totality of evidence to know which way to look for a person of interest. That's correct. It's a tool. And I have to say this over and over again. It's a tool. It should be used in conjunction with the actual investigation. It should be a tool of law enforcement, of the detectives. They themselves are always profiling. They are actually the profilers on the case. My problem is they're missing out on a lot of training for crime scene analysis, deductive profiling, which would be helpful for them to do that. Or if there's such a big department, they don't have time to focus on cases enough, they could use a criminal profiler within the department. And by that, I mean one who does crime scene analysis, not one who does making up stuff out of thin air and a bunch of statistics. That's not really useful. So let's see what else you have to say, Benny. Pat is teaching us profiling in this way, and because of her logic, I can see where I am wrong almost all the time. You're not that wrong. Benny, you're one of the people I say pretty good stuff to. And then I learned that's what keeps me hooked on this great channel. Thank you, Benny. But you actually, your thinking is really good. And I like to see this, not because I want us to solve cases, but because if people come to this channel and they can learn the methodologies and apply it, let's say they're going into law enforcement, fantastic. If you're a detective and you're sitting in your cruiser, or you're a police officer in your cruiser and you want to become a detective and you're sitting there for hours, you know how that goes. You're listening to something. You could listen to me and you could learn something. You could get some training for free and then use that in the future in your work. It's good for psychology. It's good for school counselors. It's good for every human being. If you can profile in your own life, you can save yourself a lot of trouble, because you'll learn to analyze circumstances. You'll learn to analyze people's behavior. And that's good for you, caring for yourself, caring for your children. And I would be happy to know that maybe I've saved somebody's life because they learned some skills that kept them safe. So you don't become a cold case in a police department. I'm good with that. That's what I'd like to see happen here. Oh, Lord, yes, Lisa. And the non-crime case of Kylie Rodney was huge in true crime circles. You don't even need a crime for the frenzy. This is true. And this is one of the ways sometimes when I say grifter channels, a lot of times, if I see somebody take a case that doesn't have a reason for you to give information out more than once, and you've done 50 shows on it, and you are going with all the gossip that's coming in, you're a grifter channel. Sorry, I just don't, I can't go with that. Kylie Rodney to me was very quickly an accidental death. She fell into the drink, drove her car into the drink and couldn't get out. That's it. That's the way life goes sometimes. And yet there are channels just pushing this and pushing it and pushing it. And believe me, you don't know how much some of the money those channels pocket is huge. You don't have a clue how big it is. If you can get something where you can get 100,000 views on one video, 500,000 views on a video, and you can do that every day, become their friend because they have a house in the Bahamas, all off of Kylie Rodney, who wasn't even murdered. So yeah, Benny is kissing up. Works for me. Oh my goodness. Lord. Let's see. Oh, that's funny. I thought he was Pat's assistant till now. No, Benny's not my assistant. Benny's just one of you great guys out there. And he does analyze really well. Oh Lord. So anyway, all right, let me go to the next thing. What was my next thing going to be? All right, I didn't mean to go off so long on that, but things bug me. Oh, we got to go Ronald Cummings. Oh, Ronald Cummings. Oh, what a shame, Ronald Cummings. Oh, there you are, Ronald. You're looking older after you've been in prison all this time. Mm-hmm. Yes, you are. Oh, what a shame, because Ronald's back in jail. That's a big fat surprise. Okay, let me find the story on him. Where'd he go? Come on. Oh, there we go. All right. What happened to old Ronald? Okay. So if you don't know who Ronald Cummings is, he is the father of Haley Cummings. I'll link it below, the Haley Cummings case. That little girl that went missing, and her father is a big fat creepy dude and a drug dealer, and his girlfriend Misty, no, I forgot her name, Misty, was home with the girl alone, and the girl vanishes, and she claims somebody kidnapped her. And I've always said I don't trust Ronald as far as I can throw him, including along with his little girlfriend. And Haley's never been found. She's still missing. So 2009 was when she went missing. She was 5 years old, and nobody got charged with the crime. But Cummings and his girlfriend Misty both ended up in prison for what did they do at the time? Some drug stuff. Anyway, she got way more time than he did, which kind of surprised me. But I keep thinking the police are trying to put pressure on her to confess to whatever happened to Haley Cummings. I don't know if there's truth in that. But he's back in jail. What is he back in jail for? Okay. So Ronald's only been out of prison for 2 months. 2 months. He got resisting an officer with violence, battery on an officer, firefighter or an EMT, trafficking oxycodone, obstruction, and possession of a controlled substance without prescription. Dude's drug dealing again. Already drug dealing. So he's going back. Oh, so how did they catch him? This is quite amusing. So anyway, Ronald crashed his car, you see. And when they got there, he appeared to be, he hit a road sign. The car was running in drive, and the man, in quotes, appeared to be sleeping or unconscious, but he also had a full glass bottle of Hennessy in his lap. I'm going to say he was drinking. Okay, so the deputies turned off the vehicle and told him to get out. He did try to exit the car, but then he sat down and tried to start it up. And then they tried to get him out, pull him out of the car, and he pushed the deputy And then he tried to grab the firearm from the deputy, pulled the gun out of the holster, which is a real no-no. And so then they were finally able to restrain the guy, and then he hit the deputy's radio, knocking that to the ground. They finally got him to the ground and secured him. And you know what he said? "You think I'm afraid of prison?" I guess not, because you wanted to go back so badly, you only made it 8 weeks out. So he got his they took him to the hospital, he got medical clearance, and then they booked him into the Putnam County Jail. What a shame. Let's see. Any more on him? Yeah, so now he's got a $300,000 bond. Oh, no. Oh, judge said, okay, only $185,000. And let's see. He was not on probation at the time of his arrest. So he pled guilty to drug trafficking in 2010. And then he was recently released in October. So that was 12 years? 12 years he spent in prison. He was never a suspect in her disappearance, which he should have been. The claim was he was at work, but there's a lot of really sketchy things about him before work, during work, after work. A lot of sketchy stuff. Just click on my link. So anyway, oh, shucks. Too bad. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Yeah, he can disappear. So let's see. See if anybody has any thoughts on. Oh no, good old Ronald. Okay, I don't know what you're discussing here. As far as other channels go, I try not to, unless I'm promoting them, I try not to talk about them, okay? Most of the time. Just because I don't know always what is being said is gossip or a person's opinion or whatever. So I prefer not to have other channels be discussed during the show, unless I'm bringing it up, just because I don't want to slander any channel and I don't want to promote any channel. Either way. Yeah. So Christine says he was in for 15. Misty got 25. I don't know why she got so many more years. It makes no sense to me, because it was pretty clear that sorry, I just lost. Oh, hold on, I just lost the. Hold on a second. There we go. He clearly was in control of things. You know, Misty didn't do something without Ronald telling her what to do, pretty much. I mean, you know, so I don't understand how she ended up with a longer sentence. So, yeah. Don't quite know that. It's very strange to me. So, okay, so now I'm going to go on to, speaking of what? Let's see, which is the one I want to talk about next. Let's see. All right. Wait, oops, sorry. Hold on a second. I'm trying to manage my pictures over here. All right, we did that. So, we have to talk about her. Oh, my God. I want to talk about making money off of crime, because I'll tell you, crime does pay. Of course, you should know who this is. This is Anna Delvey. She's the one from Netflix's, Inventing Anna. She's a big con artist. She conned a whole bunch of people in the art world and rich people and hotels and her friends. And she ended up in prison. But while she was in prison, she just kept on with her little games. And now she's got a little thing around her ankle there, you know. She can't go far, but it doesn't matter if she can't go far, because look at this. She's hosting. She's actually hosting. It's this art thing. All the people are there and she's on the screen, but she's allowed to do that. So, they're all like, oh my God, Anna, it's so cool. It's so cool. So now she has art shows. So this is one of the art shows that they're promoting. You see this lovely work of arts that she does. And let me tell you how much she makes off of this crap. She's made so far $340,000. $340,000 of truly awful artwork. That's and I agree. That's mostly of herself. Oh my God. Okay, so far she's making a living selling her paintings and drawings, raking in $340,000. She can't even leave home, supposedly. She makes this money. All right. Okay, she sells the originals for $25,000 and the prints for $250 a pop. And they have been snapped up by a global consortium of fans, including Saturday Night Live star Chloe Fineman, sources say. Shame on you, Chloe Fineman. I don't even know who you are. I haven't watched Saturday Night Live since I didn't like the way it went. Anyway, shame on anybody who buys this garbage. Shame on you all. Shame on anybody who buys any killer's crap or gives them a platform. Sorry. They're in prison for a reason. They committed crimes against human beings. Those human beings have not been, they're still suffering. And their families are still suffering. And you're sitting there giving money to their killers and giving them praise and giving them bugs the heck out of me. It's pretty crazy, said art dealer Chris Martin of the interest in Delvey's artwork since she launched her career. We've sold, because shame on you, you sold her paintings because you don't care that she rips people off. You think it's great because you're making money. We've sold prints to 40 or 50 countries. It's pretty amazing how our audience responds to anything she does. Yeah, she created these using prison pens and pencils. How exciting. Mostly referencing Delvey herself, slinking around in designer fashions like Chanel or Prada while attracting notoriety. All right, so let me show you how much she makes on one of these stupid paintings. So that stupid ugly thing here, this thing, $15,000. Really? Really? If I painted that crap, and I can paint better than that. My artwork is better than that. And I'll be lucky if I could sell something like that for $100, maybe $50, because that's not really good. Maybe never, because it's ugly, plain ugly. Let me give you a price on this next one. This one went for, what's this one for? Oh, by the way, her art career partly pays for her rent at her $4,250 per month East Village walk-up. She also hawks herself on passes, an online startup where users pay for glimpses into the life of influencers. So she's an influencer, you say. She's a criminal influencer. She's a crook. She's a psychopath. But hey, so what? She's an influencer. So, and now you can basically have people can look at your life. I finally got my hair done by a proper hairstylist, her latest post reads. Do you think it's been easy maintaining that? Oh, it is not. I entitled this artwork, Anna Delvey Gets Her Hair Done. Okay, which artwork was? I wouldn't even call it artwork, but okay, let's see what art crap this is. Is this the art crap? Oh, well, for $5, I can't find this. For $5, you can unlock the photo. Oh my God. You know, I charge $5 a month on Patreon. $5 a month so that my patrons can come and communicate. And I also have, oh, by the way, in case you're newer here and you haven't heard this yet, what I'm doing now is I have a patron chat every week, also where if you have questions or things you want to say about the case that I did during that week, you can bring those questions there. And because I'm overwhelmed over at YouTube for comments, I do try there too, but this way I can focus on my patrons. $5 a month. You get 8 live shows plus more. $5 a month. So for education and to support what I hopefully is a good channel. But hey, don't waste your $5 a month on my channel. Go over to her channel, pay $5 so you can click on it and see some ugly ass picture like this. Really? Seriously? Okay. If her name wasn't on this and you just saw it someplace, you would not think too much of it. It's a drawing. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it certainly isn't the best thing I've ever seen. How much does this piece of crap cost? Seriously, $22,500. Yes, indeed. And this really ugly piece of garbage, this one and of course, this is also mocking the criminal justice system because he says this is this is a something card. I don't know what run it on my card, run it again, because of course we know her cards were no good because she was using other people's cards and going in debt, and they were canceling her stuff. So she's making fun of the crime she committed. And for that piece of garbage, you have to pay, yes, another one, $22,500 on that one too. crime pays. I always knew that when she got caught, I just knew that she was going to make money. Netflix, I have to admit, I liked their show. Inventing Anna was amusing to me. A lot of people actually didn't like it. It's one of the few times I actually liked something because it showed the psychopathy with her. And with the people around her, were some of them were pretty messed up themselves. And the excuses people made and the greed that was there, I had to appreciate the way it was, just the story itself. But Anna Delvey deserves to be in prison for a way longer time than she got. She deserves to be cut off from the public. My whole thing is always, once you go to prison, all you should be talking to it. You shouldn't be able to contact the public. I don't think you should be able to sell stuff, go on the internet, or have somebody else go on the internet for you. I think all this stuff should be shut down. You did the crime, do your time, and keep away from people. When you're released from prison, that's when you have the right to then mingle with society. But apparently that's not the way it works. And even in this case, the sad thing is she should be a pariah. People should look at her and say, we want nothing to do with that woman. But that's not the way it works because we have people with a lot of wrong ideas here. So anyway, also on the Passes platform, she can get a $549 package called the Delvey Danger Zone that offers a 15-minute call with Anna herself. Oh, I always want to pay $500 to talk to a stupid, idiotic psychopath. Although I guess she's smart. I'm going to give you that. She's smart and conniving little sly snake. But I don't think I have 15 minutes of my time and over $500 to waste on her. So what do you get? But if you don't pay that, you can pay $259 for a Delvey download and a 1-minute personalized video. And you can purchase her good behavior package for $29.99 a month. Okay, so she was sentenced to 4 to 12 years in prison, but she didn't. She got out within 4. And as part of her release, an immigration judge barred her from accessing all social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Oh, really? He's barred her from all these, but somehow, although she has not posted on her Instagram since October 1st, she still maintains a profile which boasts 1.1 million followers and advertises a link to her artwork in her bio. Okay, I can't keep going. I might be throw up. All right. Oh, but that's not all. Let's go to this piece of crap. All right. This piece of crap. All right. This piece of crap, his name is Alfred Gaynor. All right. Alfred Gaynor. Who's Alfred Gaynor, you ask? He's an American serial killer and rapist who killed 9 women in Springfield, Massachusetts. All right. He was a handyman. Remember what do I say? Top jobs, the serial killers, security guard, handyman. Okay. He's a handyman. And he was a crack addict. All right. He met several of his victims in a mutual search for crack cocaine and robbed some for drug money after strangling and raping them. 3 of the women's bodies were found by their children. He killed 9 women between April 1995 and 1998. All right. That's terrible. But don't be worried. You can get his artwork. Here you go. Isn't that nice? You can get this one. Oh, they're already sold out. This one was an $85 piece of art that he did so that you can say you have the artwork of a serial killer. Isn't that lovely? Yeah. And also, that's bad enough that he sells his artwork. And again, I'm sorry, but okay, I'm looking at his artwork. I'm like, all right. It's some kind of artwork. It's not terrible. I don't like the content of it, which I think is sick, but he has some skill level. But here's the thing that really bugs me. And this is part of the fault of the anti-death penalty people, because they keep promoting art of serial killers and people on death row. They promote this because they're trying to say these people aren't all bad, that we should give them, and we should still see them as human, blah, blah. There are thousands and thousands of artists in every country who have much finer art, and they'll be damned if they can get an art exhibition. They can't find a way to sell their fabulous art. To get into a gallery is like almost impossible. They put this stuff up on, let's say, on you can do you can put yourself, online, eBay or something like that. And some people succeed selling this stuff on eBay, but because they're not serial killers, they can only get so much money for good work. But a serial killer, he can get 10 times as much money for garbage. And that's what really ticks me. But hey, that's not all what he sells. You want to hear what else he sells? All right. He also sells, let's see. I think he sells, I just saw this someplace. I think he sells hair, his hair. Where the heck did I see that? Okay. While in prison, he became known for making paintings not unlike his fellow serial killer, John Wayne Gacy, and profiting from them, causing outrage from the relatives of his victims. But he also sells, swear to God, I just read this someplace, that he sells hair and what else does he sell? I can't find it now. Darn it. I did have it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right. I'm looking on the wrong page. All right. A serial killer convicted of murders of 7 Springfield women in the 1990s is attempting to cash in on his crime by selling bags of his hair because wait a minute. The guy doesn't have any hair. I was like, wait a minute. What does he sell? Oh, does he keep shaving it off and selling it? Maybe that's why he doesn't have any hair. Seriously. So he's shaving his head and selling his hair. Disgusting. I mean, oh, look, I've got the hair of a serial killer. If you bought that and you looking at that thinking that's so cool, you have a personality disorder. Okay? Yes, you, the one who just bought his hair. You're a sick piece of... Okay. So he's selling bags of his hair. He's profiting from murder. That is true. And somebody says, I don't understand why the state lets him keep that money. So what happens is when he sells this crap, they apparently, let's see, what does he do here? Let's see. It's called murderabilia. Murderabilia is kind of what they call this stuff that people sell. Internet auctions. And then he sold, selling $35 bags of his hair, $35. And then, and the Houston Mayor Crimes Victim Office says, oh, that's Andy Cahan. He says, Gaynor has been a big wheelie dealer for several years now. Works for the third party in Montreal who deposits a percentage of the sale into his inmate account. And that's how he does it. Andy Cahan has fought a lot for victims. Who coined the term murder, is noted for his work to stop it. Supports a federal bill co-sponsored by U.S. Senator John Cornyn that seeks to outlaw prisoners or third parties from mailing objects from state to state with the goal of making a profit. The bill would also allow families of victims to file lawsuits and recover damages from the industry. And that's kind of what happened with OJ. The Goldmans sued. And although he was allowed to write, he could not himself, the son of Sam law is what people always talk about. Son of Sam law keeps murderers from profiting off their stories. That's been, it's been fought by, who fought that one? Who fought that one? Which really upsets me because I published my book. Who fought that? It was Simon & Schuster. Yeah, Simon & Schuster. So Simon & Schuster wanted to publish a book, and they're making money off the story. They fought for, they said basically that, freedom of speech issue violated the First Amendment, that he had the right to tell his story. And so we all think that the son of Sam law really works and they can't sell their story and all the rest of the crap. And that fact is they can, and they do. And it's disgusting. So I just find that highly, highly offensive. And it makes me very sad that anybody would buy it, anybody would promote it. But they do. And yeah. So I'll go to your comments before I go to my next subject matter. All right. I don't know if he's selling pubic hair. He could be doing that too. I would not be surprised. You say that in jest, but I wouldn't be surprised if that would get you twice as much money as the hair on your head. This is how sick things are. And that, yes, proceeds should go to the victims' families. This is correct. Of course, it would probably disgust them, but they would still prefer to go to them than to the creep himself. So there's a lot of third parties that make money off of this. And this is why I'm always offended when people give serial killers and killers, death row people, platforms, and sell their stuff and tell their stories and let them speak up, because somebody's making money off of them. Not just them. They're getting attention maybe. They might not get more than attention, but the person giving them the attention is also getting attention and perhaps money. That's, because they're selling a story, or they're selling whatever they're selling, a television show, whatever. So there's a lot of money to be made, which is just extremely sad. Extremely sad. And Reggie, no. Bit of a risk for a killer to give away his hair. He's already on death row. He's killed 9 women. Don't make any difference. What if some enterprising police department decides to buy someone planted in a cold case murder to bump their clearance rates? Yeah, theoretically that could happen, but I mean, I have not seen that be the case. I am, generally speaking, I believe that the majority of police departments, there is not that kind of corruption. I will say on rare occasion, something could be squirrely. And I have pointed that out in a couple of cases of mine. I'm very supportive of police. And I also think that people often go to the police corruption theory real quick when things don't get solved quickly. Most of the time, it's hard to solve, or there's incompetence, or whatever else could have gone wrong. Yeah, I still can't believe Casey Anthony and Peacock. Yeah, I'm ticked about that, Grandma Tat. I really am. I mean, but you see who's making money? Well, both of them, actually. Casey Anthony can make a boatload because she was found innocent anyway. So even if she, Son of Sam Law wasn't really, if it was still good, she was found, quote, not guilty. She wasn't found innocent. She was found not guilty. She can make money. Peacock can make money. And they don't give a crap about Kaylee. So I just wish we'd push a little more for ethics. I mean, we're not perfect people. We all, there's that gray area for everybody. Because I've been accused of things too. It's like, well, you have a YouTube show, you've done television, you've sold books, you're making money off of victims. I mean, if my field is that of analyzing crime, obviously I need to make money to survive. Just like a doctor, you can say, oh, that doctor only helped you out because he wanted to make money. Of course he does. He's a doctor. Lawyers do it, doctors do it, police make money. Funeral homes make money off of death, murder, and sickness. That's the way the world works. But so you have to understand that people have to, have their time paid for, but they don't have to step over an ethical line. That's terrible. I mean, you have to know where that line comes, and the society should also know where that line comes and push for that line to be stopped. That far across, we don't accept that far across. Now, let me see who is this? Okay, I'm trying to figure out who my picture is. Hold on, gotta figure out who my picture is. I wanted to talk about, because who brought this? Benny brought this one up. Benny, my assistant. All right. Okay, so this is a woman. This is her. And this is an interesting, I'm going to talk a little bit about what people are charged with and are they innocent, and what we should think about these circumstances and the laws with these circumstances. Let me find this one. Hold on a second. Okay. This woman, her name is, okay, let me find it here. Her name is Kiri Jolliffe. I think that's what her name is. Now, what happened is she got arrested and charged with murder because people she knew murdered somebody. So this is a show that's being put out called Guilty Bystander. And years of torment for a murder I didn't commit. And this particular woman said that she did not commit any kind of murder, but she was a bystander. And there's a statement. What's the name of it? It's called joint enterprise. Okay, joint enterprise. And I think, I'm not sure if that's just a UK terminology. I'm not a lawyer, so excuse me. I don't have these things down pat. But aiding and abetting, accessory accomplice. After the fact, before all these things. If you are connected to a criminal act, you can be charged. So the question is, how are you connected to that criminal act? And can they prove you're connected to that criminal act? Now, her claim is that, let's see, let me tell you, she wanted to be a lawyer, she said. She was inspired by a teacher. And today, at 23 years old, she's in the final year of a degree course with plans to continue her training at a law firm. So she said that everything was going great until, all right. She was charged with murder and held for 6 months in prison on remand. She stood trial knowing that if convicted, she faced a life sentence that would spend her 20s and 30s in jail. Halfway through her trial, the judge ruled that the evidence against Kiri was so weak that she had no case to answer. That's what, hold on a second. Her defense put forth that there wasn't enough to truly connect her. And so the judge agreed. Now, I want to say this right here. And people confuse this a lot. Just because this is said in an article doesn't make it the actual truth. I don't actually know what all the evidence was that the prosecution saw that made them charge her. I don't know what techniques the defense used. I don't know whether the judge is smart or an idiot. So outside again, unless we do a tremendous amount of study of this case, we're going to be a little shaky on what really happened here. We don't really know. So anyway, here's her story, though. She has not spoken publicly before, finds it hard to do so. Okay. So anyway, she said she grew up in a happy home. Their mother worked for social services. Her father was in and out of work. Okay. So her happy home had a little bit of problems. But at 17, she left home. So her home was not as happy as she said, and she was not as happy as she said. See, this is where you start seeing, as a profiler, things that don't add up. She left home at 17 to move in with a boyfriend, a decision she now calls my downfall. I will agree with her on that. She made a poor decision. And if nothing else, understand that when you're an innocent bystander, a lot of times you're not so innocent. Okay. And the problem is you have put yourself in dangerous situations with dangerous people with full knowledge that those people were dangerous, but you did it anyway. That's called bad choices. When people say, oh, my kid got mixed up with bad people. No. Your kid chose to be with bad people. Because why would he go with bad people unless maybe he's a bad person? You know what I mean? He's doing bad stuff too. That's why he picked them. So you have two choices. Well, let's see. I could go to church on Sunday. I could take horseback riding lessons. I could play chess with a chess club, or I can go hang with a gang and do drugs and sell them. I'm picking this one. All right, you didn't accidentally fall into this one. You just rejected this one. So anyway, she moves in with a boyfriend. She studied law and criminology at Coventry University, but dropped out after a year. Problem number two, she moved in with a boyfriend, left home, and then dropped out after a year. Why? If you drop out, was it because she didn't have any money, because she failed her courses, because she wasn't paying any attention? We don't know. Then the boyfriend ended up in prison. He ended up in prison. Oh, her boyfriend committed a crime and was taken to prison. He didn't just end up there. You don't end up someplace. You make yourself go there. Okay, so he went there, leaving Kiri alone in their home under emotional strain with financial problems and a new circle of friends who were, as she puts it, people that my mom wouldn't have wanted me to associate with. Okay, you were already associating with a criminal boyfriend, and your boyfriend had criminal friends, which I'm pretty sure you knew they were criminal friends before your boyfriend went to jail. Okay, now he went to prison, not a misdemeanor, felony charges. So you hooked up with a whole bunch of bad people, and you knew they were bad. You didn't go home to your mom, which she probably would have taken you back in, and be thankful that you left those horrible people, come home, go back to school. She didn't do that. All right. In August of 2019, 20-year-old James Tier was shot dead with a 12-bore shotgun from a stolen BMW in Birmingham. The two men in the car, one of whom had a row with James in a nightclub a few days before, were charged with murder. So was Kiri's best friend, Lauren, who was in a relationship with one of the men. Okay, so now her best friend is also hooked up with criminals, you see. She was in a relationship with one of the men and was accused of helping to steal the car. Okay, so now her innocent bystanderhood here. She already knows the whole group of people is criminal. One of them went to prison, her boyfriend, and she still hung with the criminals. Her own girlfriend was with another criminal. And then she didn't know about these things, you see. Okay. Next, Kiri was arrested by a police firearms team, woken at 3 a.m. Multiple guns to my head. It felt like I was in a movie. She was initially charged with conspiracy, then with murder, and was remanded to custody to await trial. So she spent 6 months in I'm not sure where this is, somewhere in Derbyshire. I don't know how to pronounce it. Foston Hall. And I know Americans would say Derbyshire, but is it Derbyshire? I don't know. She is surprisingly upbeat about her time. I had potentially the best experience that anyone could experience in prison. Everybody was lovely to me. That's lovely. Everybody thought I was innocent. Okay. All right. Let's see what it says here. What's the case against Kiri? The case against Kiri was that she had hired a car to drive the others to the spot where they stole the BMW. But she could prove she had not hired the car. It was a courtesy car provided by an insurance company following a crash a month earlier. Evidence about her location based on mobile phone signals also proved inconclusive, but not conclusive, you see. The judge that ruled, therefore, that she had no case to answer. So, essentially, supposedly, that hire car went quite a distance to where the BMW was taken. And the question was she with the car, or was just her friend? She claimed she let her friend borrow the car. Her friend who's hanging out with criminals, whose boyfriend just had a row with somebody, a row. What do we call row or row in the UK? What do we say in the US? I'm not sure. Anyway, a fight. I never said that word, a fight. So you see, I'm going to say she knows what's going down. Okay, this is the kind of group that talks. They spew out what they're angry about. They hang together. She knew what was going on, in my opinion. I doubt that she had no clue what was going on. Either she gave that car to her friend so her friend could drive her boyfriend to steal a car to kill this guy, or she was with her friend as well. All right. The two men were each sentenced to life with a minimum of 32 years for the murder, while Lauren was cleared of murder but convicted of burglary and received a suspended sentence. So the other girl, you see, there's something about women. It's like, they didn't know what's happening. They were just, as their boyfriends and stuff. So anyway, her girlfriend got off. She's free and returns home to live with her parents. So anyway, she's upset. Says, I found it hard to leave my bedroom or face my family. I have grown men saying they want to rape me. My address has been put out. My people are saying they're going to come to my family and set it on fire. Okay, I went to her Facebook page. She got some nasty stuff on her Facebook page. People saying, you basically, you're a killer. You helped kill the guy. These are obviously friends of the kid who got killed. So there's a lot of vicious things being said on her Facebook page. As far as I know, you can't have anybody on Facebook page that you don't make a friend. That's a closed system. I mean, I block people all the time if they say anything mean. I also don't have to accept people, especially when you're not in the public eye. You can only accept friends. So why does she have all these people saying nasty things to her on Facebook? I think she wants them to say those nasty things on Facebook. I think she's getting something out of it because she's allowing it and she's not erasing it. And she's not blocking these people. What does that say? It says to me, you like the attention. Sorry. And so I have a problem believing her story. I really do. I think she got away with whatever she got away with, which not necessarily she didn't kill anybody, but she was not having an issue with helping out. All right. Now, so then we come to the innocent bystander thing, or what's the terminology here? Joint enterprise. So this person says joint enterprise laws are needed. They're useful. Just because you are the lookout in a bank robbery doesn't make you any less guilty if one of the robbers decides to shoot an innocent party. Okay, so this is true. So you know, if you're an assessor, you're an accessory. You are partaking in helping that crime be accomplished. You deserve something. You're not an innocent human being. Innocent bystander nonsense. She was not an innocent bystander, in my opinion. Should you get as long a sentence as somebody who actually pulled the trigger? That's another matter. Should you, let's say you thought it was going to be a robbery, but you didn't think anybody was going to get killed, and somebody, you didn't even know they had a weapon, they end up shooting somebody. I can see where you didn't think that was going to happen. You were just going to be the getaway car, but you didn't think anybody's going to get hurt. You can argue that one, that you're not, like, you didn't know there was going to be a murder going down. But a lot of times, there's this new organization she's working with. It's called Joint Enterprise Not Guilty by Association, JENGABA, campaigning to change the law. She doesn't like the joint enterprise thing where you can guilt by association. Well, life is about who you associate with. If you look at me and you say, who does Pat Brown associate with? And you can look around at people, my friends, my family, who I spend time with, who I give credit to, who I support on whatever. You're going to see who I am, and you can judge me a little bit by that. Anybody, the company they keep is important. So the fact that you shouldn't be judged by your fellow mates, yeah, you should. I'm sorry. You picked them. You picked them. And especially when you spend time with them and you're doing things with them. Yeah, I'm going to say, I understand you want to be careful with the joint enterprise issue. I understand that, but I also don't. I think this is going to be used to be able to get a lot of people off the hook for their participation in crimes, especially women. So I think that was a really interesting thing, Benny. I don't know what you think of what I said, but that's what I said. Oh my goodness. So let's see. Grandma Tat says, an excuse your behavior if the people you're hanging out with are behaving badly. Yeah, I mean, there's hold on a second. You have to be very careful, especially when you know people who aren't particularly good people, if you hang out with them at all. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'm sorry. Your criminal behavior makes it so that I cannot hang out with you. I will say that to a person in a heartbeat. I'm like, you do drugs? I can't be anywhere near you. I can't have you come to my house, get in my car. Why? Because I cannot have you get in my car and you have drugs on you. And if you ever saw the Chris Rock thing where, don't let a guy in your car who's got drugs, it's true. You'll get screwed over because the police are going to go, well, he's got drugs. He's in your car. So you must be doing drugs too, or you would let him in your car. Hey, and usually it's true, 100% true, 99%. Okay, so one time. But I am very careful who I let to my front door. I'm very careful about, I had a friend from a number of years. She's a little sketchy from her early days. She said, why don't you come over to my house? I haven't seen you in 10, 20 years. I'm like, how about we meet in a public location? We'll meet in Washington, D.C. in a nice restaurant. That way, I'm not responsible for anything you do or if I go to her house, God knows what's there. There could be a drug bust while I'm sitting in her house. Just, hey, it's nice, we were friends back when, and, it's just, oh my God, here come the police, and there's coke in the house. You know what I mean? Methamphetamine, I don't know. I'm sitting there. And people are like, Pat Brown, why would you be in her house? I was just visiting an old friend. Okay, I can say that, but it's not going to go very far. No, want to see that old friend? Make sure you're in a restaurant, in a very public place. And don't be meeting them in a parking lot on the way into the restaurant or way out of the restaurant. You gotta protect yourself. And if you're not willing to protect yourself, you're willing to give that person enough movement into your life to affect you. So you're choosing to do that. Maybe it's because you're being naive or you're too nice or all those kind of things. So sometimes it's true. But hey, I'm sorry, criminals are criminals. And you got to say, if that person's a criminal, you're not in my life. You're not when I can't take the risk until you prove that you're no longer a criminal and you're that decent member of society. I can't take the risk. Sorry, you made a choice, and I'm going to make a choice. So, as we see Pat getting cuffed in the largest drug bust in D.C. Oh, that would be embarrassing. And people have asked me. I spent time in other countries. I was down in Guatemala once. I don't know if I told this story, but it's in Guatemala. I was in a place called Lake Atitlan, and I got this room I just picked off the internet, room in this hotel, and it turned out that the place I was staying at was like the weed capital of all the hippies of Guatemala. And I'm like, holy crap, and I'm thinking, people say, well, you're in Guatemala, nobody will know if I'm like, somebody will have a camera. No, personally, I don't smoke weed. Okay, I don't. But if I were going to, it would be my bad luck because somebody would pull out a camera and go, "Oh, pull out a pepper, I'm smoking weed." I'm like, and then I just, not going to hang, because I can't take that risk. I really can't. Can't take that risk. Even serial killers, their wives and children don't know what their fathers are doing. This is true, but this is because this is a whole different situation. These are people who are being manipulated by a psychopath in a family romantic situation. This is totally different than somebody who's picking friends. Almost always, they know exactly what their friends are doing. Believe you me, they know what their friends are doing. So they do. Florence says, a cop once told me that the guy I was hanging around was the kind of guy who will get himself shot by the police. And if I'm standing next to him, I might get shot as well. Absolutely true. This is so true. When you're hanging with people who are committing crimes, especially drug dealers, you never know when you're just going to be that person. And the thing is, once you know the person is doing those things, you are making a choice to stand next to them. You're making a choice to be in the world that is dangerous, that can get you killed. And then, in my opinion, at that point, you don't have much right to complain because you knew. So you got to get away from that world. You got to say, hey, this is not something I want to be involved with. I mean, I have very strong feelings about drug dealers. I understand there's people in the neighborhood who'll say, hey, guys got to make, it's no big deal here, so my boyfriend's a drug dealer and he makes some money, helps his family out. No, you're putting poison into the kids of the community. I'm sorry. I have no, once it goes to the children of the community and destroys your community, I got no tolerance for you. I just have none. Sorry. I don't. What's this? They would have you on the cover of the Inquirer with smoke leaving your lips. Yeah. The blunt. Yeah. That could be just, yeah. Yeah. No, and it's funny because as a profiler and as a person who's been in television work, I've always been very aware that there's things you cannot take a chance on, especially in this world with cameras, phone cameras and stuff like that. Like, don't go to some dude's house and rip your clothes off and have him. He's like, you end up on the Inquirer, go to the nude beach. You end up on the Inquirer. You can't take that chance. I'm always surprised at people who are in the public eye do these things. I'm like, are you idiots? You're in the public eye. I understand if nobody knows who you are, you're very, very regular folk, and nobody's going to put your picture someplace and you get a little stupid. I get it. But when you're in the public eye, you have to be extremely vigilant because people will do that to you and they will take you down. So, don't do anything that's untoward and don't be sneaking around badly with some of the people recently who've been caught in little love affairs who are on television and they're like blatant about it. It's like, what are you doing? Lord, yeah, I don't understand. That's just stupid. Because and people say, well, I had a right to a private life. Well, yes, but you're in the public eye. When you're in the public eye, your private life gets a lot smaller. It does. And, I'm not even super famous or anything. So, but I recognize that the minute I did my first television interview, I said, this is the moment I crossed the line into public life. And I have to be very aware of what I do because it's out there. And so people who are like a million times more famous than me, yeah, they got the paparazzi on them all the time. They have to be extraordinarily careful, or they're going to end up in very compromising situations and very embarrassing situations and possibly criminal situations. So, but we all should be careful. I mean, the company we keep, we should all be careful about that. I mean, it's our life. And if we want to have a good life, we shouldn't act fools. I want to mention this case because this is a case of, okay, we all know who this is, right? Who is this? Who is this? Who is it? I'm just messing with you guys so I can make sure you're with me here. Who is that? Who killed 5 of her children? Oh, Andrea Yates. There we go. Okay. All right. Andrea Yates. Andrea Yates. This is very important. Andrea Yates. She killed 5 of her children. I'll link that below if I can remember to do it. That I disagreed with. It's a very unpopular opinion. I believe she should have not been given an insanity on the second time around in court. I believe she should have been given homicide, murder for life. I believe she was well aware of what she was doing, regardless of her issues. She was well aware of what she's doing. She took the lives of 5 children. She killed 5 children. 5 children lost their lives. Her husband lost the 5 children. I don't care if you don't like Russell. Still, she took 5 children away from him, killed his children, killed those children. They didn't have a future. And now she gets to do needlepoint in the mental institution and make friends. Okay, I have problems with that. I'm sorry, I don't care. She knew what she was doing at the time she was doing it. She had every way to walk away, and she didn't. Everybody knows that. So now, who's this? Okay, so in case you didn't remember what she looked like, this is Andrea, her husband, and 4 of the kids. Cute little kids, and she killed them all. All right, who's this? Does anybody know who this woman is? And this is her family. That's her husband and her 5 children. I don't know what the number 5 is. A bad number. Really bad number. Does anybody know who this is? I think this is just fascinating. So, anybody know who that is? Let me put the picture back up. This woman, the mother of these 5 children. Oh, nobody knows this woman? She must not have a very good defense team. I feel like it's a test. Yes, it is. No, I didn't know who the woman was either. So, hey, this was brought to my attention. Nobody has a clue. All right. I'm going to tell you. Her name is, and I'm going to botch her name, Genevieve Lermite. She's a Belgian woman, so I probably butchered her name. All right. Midgie says, I did not study for this. Well, you're a student of my classes. You must study. No, I didn't know who she was either. And that's the whole point. Why not? Okay, listen to this, though. Okay, that might be so. A wicked witch. Okay. She killed 5 of her children in 2007. Now listen to this. She killed each of her children by slitting their throats with a kitchen knife stolen from a local grocery store while her husband was visiting family in Morocco. Same thing as Andrea Yates waited until Russell was away and she had the kids and no one would disturb her. This woman, husband was away, no one would disturb her. After she killed her children, she then tried to kill herself. Hey, she did more than Andrea did. And she actually did try, at least somewhat. The suicide attempt failed, and she was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder. Now, the reason she failed was not because she fell on her knife, which still is kind of amazing that, that's, a lot. Andrea just called and said, I killed my kids. All right. So she had regularly seen a psychiatrist and was reported to demonstrate serious mental issues. She claimed she was driven to kill her children due to troubles at home. Okay. Now, this is interesting. There are men who are family annihilators. They tend not to have ever seen any therapists because men tend not to go to see counselors. Women tend to go to counselors for attention. Men do not. So men suddenly kill off the whole family and they go, oh, they didn't have mental problems. And they call them psychopathic. They call them I would call them borderline personality disorder. When the glass got half empty, they couldn't fill it up. They killed everybody because their egos were crushed because they lost their job or their fortune, and they killed their family. They either kill themselves, so that's a done deal, or they go to prison for life. That's family annihilators. Woman kills her whole family, and it's like, oh, the poor dear, she was seeing a therapist. She had issues at home. Well, don't you think the dude who killed his family had issues at home too? Somebody's not happy, All right, we all have issues at home. Doesn't mean we can kill our kids. We can walk away. We can get on a train and leave. We can give the kids to hey, you want to torture your mate? Give the kids to your mate. Let him deal with it. Let her deal with it. You know what I mean? We can walk away and we don't have to be bothered anymore. But when you kill your kids, you are usually getting back at the person we want to get back at, which is a premeditated anger issue. Or you don't want to deal with them at all anymore, and you just think you're just going to wipe them out. Anyway, this woman, long story, she's a weird long story anyway. I'm not going to talk about the whole long story. Anyway, she picked up the kids. She said her husband was deaf and blind to her concerns. Serious, same as Andrea Yates said, Russell wasn't paying attention to her concerns. She had issues. Husband wasn't paying attention. What's new in life, Happens that way. All right. She told investigators when she returned, she hid the knives in a drawer and called over the youngest daughter, Mina, while the other children were watching Spy Kids 3. She tried to strangle Mina, but when the child struggled, then she resorted to slashing her throat with one of the stolen knives, all while speaking comforting words and apologizing to the child. Then Mehdi was the next to be killed, the youngest and the only son. When her attempts to strangle that child failed, she cut his throat and washed the knife afterward in the bathroom sink. According to her account, she then told her daughter Miriam she had a surprise for her in the office. When Miriam entered the office, she told her to sit in the chair and wear a blue handkerchief over her eyes. And then she took a marble plaque and smashed it over her head and cut her throat. Nora, who was allegedly the favorite goddaughter of this fellow who actually supported the family, was asked to sit in a chair where she slit her throat from behind. After Nora had been killed, then the last victim was Jasmine. She called Yasmin over, told she had a surprise, and she struck her from behind, but she dodged the knife, diving to the ground. After the struggle, she suffered multiple stab wounds, and then she stabbed her in the back and slashed her throat. After all the kids were dead, she then attempted to kill herself by falling on her knife. When she realized that the wound would not be fatal, I think it's a fake wound, by the way. She probably fell on her knife like, let me just put it like 1 inch into my side. And, it didn't really work. No. I'm going to say it's a fake suicide attempt. Then she called the police and red marker on her door and called emergency services to the house. The investigators found the 4 children tucked in their beds, some with stuffed toys in their arm. Does this sound familiar to you? How much difference does she sound than Andrea Yates? Andrea Yates took one child after the other, drowning them in the bathtub, and then put them all. How much different does she sound from Andrea Yates? I don't see the big difference here, okay? The trial lasted 2 weeks. She confessed to the murder of her children, but the defense focused on what drove her to that. She got the maximum sentence for the murder of her 5 children. They did not take any extenuating circumstances into account. She said she would accept the punishment and showed remorse for her actions. Earlier in the trial, psychiatrists have found she was not of sound mind when she committed the acts and should not be held accountable for her actions. They felt she should have been admitted to a psychiatric institute rather than going to prison, but the jury did not follow their opinions. Wow, a jury I like. All right. She had been battling depression for many years. She concluded that she saw the murder of her children, committing suicide as the only way out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't care how depressed you are. Sorry. Killing your children is not your way out. I disagree with it. Okay. So I believe that's a choice you make. If you make that choice, you pay the penalty. Anyway, she has, she's filed damages against her, $3 million in damages against her psychiatrist because she said he didn't do enough. They dismissed that one. There is let's see what else we have here. That's basically it. So she gets life in prison. Andrea Yates gets a fan group. What's the difference between the two women? I don't see it. And I don't see what difference is between women and men. You know, why do men who are family annihilators seem to be just considered psychopaths? Women who are family annihilators all seem to have some fragile emotional condition that's brought on by their crappy husbands, and they couldn't help themselves, so that's why they killed their children. I'm sorry, I don't see that. I don't see that at all, and I find that very upsetting. That's why I have my viewpoint on Andrea Yates. I think Andrea Yates deserved. I personally think she deserved the death penalty. Sorry, murder is not an acceptable choice ever. And if you choose murder and opposed to anything else, you know, unless the only way I actually believe that you could be not guilty of committing a murder is if you literally did not know those were your children. If you actually were so psychotic that you those little children you thought were little green aliens or something, and you thought they were attacking you. It has to be something that you actually had no contact with reality at all. Not that you were depressed. Andrea Yates knew those were her children. She knew they had a right to live, and she killed them anyway. She said, well, she didn't think they were going to grow up to be good kids. She didn't have the right to make that decision. I don't care if that's what your thinking is. And I think it's bull anyway. So to me, sorry, you can run away. Run away. You can give the kids away. You can do all kinds of things. But killing your kids, if you choose that and you know you are killing your children, premeditatedly know you're killing your children, methodically, you deserve the death penalty. I don't care if you're male or you're female. Sorry, I just have no sympathy for this crap. And yeah, you may have had a crappy marriage. You may have a horrible husband. You may have a miserable person. Hey, look around you. A lot of people have crappy marriages. They have choices. Not to have more kids, to run away, to do something. But you don't have the right to kill your children. You don't. I don't care who the heck you are. What psychotic break? Nobody's had a psychotic break. This is my problem. A psychotic break is where you lose complete understanding of reality. Neither of these women had a psychotic break. Both of these women knew exactly what they were doing. That's why they planned it, premeditated, made a decision, and carried it through. There's no psychotic break there. I mean, there are cases where people have a psychotic break and they are like, you will know they're off their rocker. That case of the girl, I forgot the name of her now. She was in Egypt. Beautiful woman. She went to Egypt and she started thinking people were after her. She ended up, they eventually took her to a hospital, had a mental ward. She managed to convince somebody to let her go and she jumped out a window. I mean, that woman had a psychotic break. There's no question. She was completely divorced from reality. That's a psychotic break. That's a difference than deciding you want to do it with your family. Because if Andrea Yates had a psychotic break, then so did, I don't know, everybody else. Scott Peterson. Sure, he had a psychotic break too. Jeffrey McDonald had a psychotic break. No, they didn't. They made a choice to kill their family. I'm just, yeah. Yeah. Just drives me crazy. Oh, Mary Winkler. I forgot about Mary Winkler. Doc killed his two kids. A fake. Oh, I don't remember that. I remember the name, Tycoon. I remember the name and I can't remember that. That's it. I'll have to look up Mary Winkler. I don't remember the case. There we go. That's a very good point, Kelly. I had severe postpartum depression, ended up in a mental hospital, but never did I want to hurt my son. Yes, that's true. Lamb. Yes. Elisa Lamb was psychotic, the one who was in the elevator who ended up on top of the roof at the hotel in California. She was clearly psychotic at that moment. I will say this over and over again, and I lose subscribers every time I say this. Most postpartum depression is a result of depression is real, absolutely 100% real, and a lot of it is that our life circumstances change in such a radical form and we may have very little support. and women, especially women who have babies, especially in Western countries, get no support hardly at all when they have a baby. They oftentimes stay home, and they had a career and now they don't have a career. They're sitting home with their kid. Husband goes off for work, and they just lose their minds because no one's helping them. And I don't mean lose their minds like psychotic. I mean that the depression is severe and they're exhausted and all this kind of stuff. It's a reality that the depression is real. I don't believe personally that it's caused by chemical imbalance. I believe it's caused by horrific stress and life-changing circumstances and no support. But again, we have to make that choice to not harm our children. Should we feel our depression closing in to the point where we cannot handle that child, we have to ask for help. We have to walk away. We have to call 911 if we have to, and get help, because we don't have the right to take the life of the child because we're freaking out. And again, depression, severe depression, doesn't mean we have to kill. Again, if we know the child is a human being, we don't kill it just because we're in a bad mood or even severely depressed. Even if we think that child is causing us that depression, that we have to take care of that child, we still know we have a choice to make. If we look at the child and the child looks like, metamorphosis has happened and it's a now big cockroach, you actually think your child is a cockroach, then you're psychotic. And I was only killing a cockroach. That would be true psychotic stuff. But if you still see the child as a child, then we're making choices in increments, and we have to make choices as we go along the way to protect that child and ourselves. And it's sometimes it's a sad reality. I mean, life is not easy all the time. It can be real tough, but we still know what the law is, and we still know what we cannot do. We still know what's right and wrong. And if we know what's right and wrong and we cross over the line, then we are responsible for whatever happens. So that's just a thought. So yes. Anyway, all right. So that I want to bring up that one. Then one more I want to bring up before I go is, let's see. Hold on a second. On my little list. My last thing for tonight. Where are we on? Oh, we're running out of time. What time is it? Yeah. Okay. The last thing I want to bring up. Oh no, I got to bring a couple things. One is just this. I think this is important because I've seen this before, and I think it's really underplayed. You know how peeping Tomism? People go, "Oh, he's just a peeping Tom." No, peeping Tom is a pre-rape behavior. This guy that just struck in Maryland near me has pre-rape behavior. Let me explain what it is. A man was accused of spraying lotion on several women before inappropriately touching some of them. Spraying lotion. I seen this in another case, and he turned into a serial killer. Spraying lotion. And guess where he sprays the lotion? You betcha it's not on their arm. It's on their butt. And the lotion that he sprays is representative of semen. That's a sexual assault on that woman. This guy, apparently, this woman was shopping in Petco with her child when a man approached them. We got a cart. We went to the hamster aisle. Sorry. And a man came up behind me and said, "Excuse me, you have something on your backside." The woman said a white substance covered her sweatshirt. So you see the white, again, representing semen. I started to wipe it off, and he goes, "Can I help you?" And I said, "No." And he asked again. I said, "No, please don't touch me." Then he reached out and he grabbed me. And he commented on the quality of my body. I said, "Excuse me, sir," and he left. This occurred after police were called to a nearby Target for a similar incident. After Petco, they got another one from the Safeway. This guy was making the rounds. They say there are now 7 victims, and that a bottle labeled as lotion was recovered and the substance is being tested. Well, it's just lotion, but well, theoretically, it's just lotion. I guess he could have been working on that lotion bottle for a few weeks. No, that's really unfortunate. But anyway, his name is Jameer Madden, 19 years old, of Laurel, Maryland. That's real close to me. Was arrested Tuesday afternoon after a brief chase, during which police said he drove a car at the officers. He was charged with multiple counts of assault, sex offenses, and traffic offenses. The woman said she was really grossed out. She went home and took a shower and all that stuff. Now, the question comes down to this. What was he charged with? All right. Wait a minute. He was charged with a bunch of stuff, minor stuff, but fourth degree sexual assault. So I looked up what is fourth degree sexual assault. Where did I put it? I forgot to. Okay, hold on a second. I forgot to move it over. All right, hold on. Fourth degree sexual assault is missing. Where is it? Oh, here we go. All right. Fourth degree sexual, not sexual assault. It's not even called assault. It's called sexual contact. All right. How is sexual contact defined under Maryland law? Sexual contact means an intentional touching of the victim or actor's genital, anal, or other intimate area for sexual arousal or gratification. Okay. And this is for a non-medical familial, like, hey, honey, and you pat her on the butt. That's not the same thing. So this guy got fourth degree sexual contact. I don't know that much comes of that, but in my opinion, he is a serial sex offender, and he should be labeled as a serial sex offender. There were 7 women. He contacted them all with sexual intent, and that is the next level up from peeping Tom, and it's dangerous. And the guy that I remember, I can't remember what case it was, but I remember that this guy, what he was doing, there's actually photos of this guy. He was in the children's section. So the moms were with their children and they were going through the children's clothes. He would hide under those turning racks. And when the women were standing there, he squirted oil on their butts. And eventually he then raped and murdered a woman. So it was a pre-rape crime, and ended up being a serial killer. So we should not take peeping Tomism lightly. We should not take something like this. Oh, this guy's creepy. He just squirted things. No. That's a pre-rape sexual assault. And he should be labeled as a serial sex offender right away. And we don't take it serious enough, and they don't pay attention enough to this guy. He'll just slither off after getting some kind of, it's not even a felony what he did. So he's going to get some little misdemeanor bull crap, probably spend 60 days in jail, if anything, and then he'll be out. And then we'll hear about him one day, because he's just starting. He is just absolutely starting. So that is a concerning thing for me when I see that, and I don't see it being taken seriously enough. So the other 2 things I want to talk about is this couple, and I'm going to talk about this guy and this couple. This couple, I'm going to start with them. They are. I was just brought to my attention. They're also from Maryland. And what's interesting is both of them are from very good homes. It's kind of reminds me of Bernardo and Homolka in Canada. Both of them from what seem to have families and they're attractive people. They could do all kinds of wonderful things, but together they're just evil as hell. So this couple, this couple, let me see if I can tell you their background, because it's really interesting. Let me find the background on these guys. Hold on a second. It's a long article. Where is it? Oh my God. Where is this? Wow. Okay. Really long article. Anyway, she was from, gosh, where's my, it's annoying me that I can't find their background, because the background is interesting in that hold on a second, I got to find it here. It's got to be here somewhere. It's a big, long article. Maybe I read it someplace else. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. There we go. Erica Siffert. Her name was Erica. She's from a wealthy Pennsylvania family. She was smart and dedicated star basketball player with a bright future until she met her future husband at a bar. His name is B.J. Siffert. Similar path before the marriage. He was a Navy SEAL, graduated top of his class, embarking on a solid military career. And somewhere when that happened, basically they went out of control. He claims it was her fault. She made him unstable. Okay. she made him unstable. I'm going to say that's one of those things where you get two people with a lot of sick kind of mental things, and you put them together. It's Bonnie and Clyde. Essentially, it's Bonnie and Clyde. And it's really hard to understand when couples come together, why they turn into these killer couples. It's a very strange phenomenon, and I'm not sure really what it is, except they feed off of each other's negative energies, and they get this cheap thrill thing going. It's usually thrill kill that they turn into a good portion of the time. So what they do is they went down to Ocean City, Maryland, and they went to a place that's very popular, which is right down the road from our condo there. And they met this other couple, and they hung out and they drank together. Then they went back to the condo that they stayed at, and they ended up killing the other couple. And of course, the claim is, oh, she tried to steal my purse, so therefore, whatever. But they killed them, and they've been a lot of alcohol, a lot of drugs going on, and the couple ended up barricading themselves in the bathroom, trying to protect themselves from this vicious couple. And they end up breaking down the door, shooting through the door, and then they stabbed. I think they stabbed another one, but yeah. Oh, the girl supposedly, well, the woman stabbed the girl. They never quite figured out who did what. He got a lesser sentence than she did, which was interesting. Was it he? I think he got, wait a minute, who got the lesser sentence? I think he got the lesser sentence. But they left a frickload of evidence. I'm not going to get into the whole case, but they left a ton of evidence. I mean, really shabby, shoddy. They did chop up the bodies and took them away to the dump, but they left so much evidence around that they said that, usually when you go to court, you just don't have enough evidence to really make it easy to prove that they didn't. They said in this case, we had so much evidence, it was a ridiculous amount to prove that the two of them were involved in the murder. So they put these guys away. But my point on this whole case is, I'll just point this out. The forensic evidence is really good. We got the bullet, we got the gun, parts of the body, so we're covered. So it's just, and they even have pictures of, they even took pictures of the other couple. So they have pictures of the couple with them. It's nuts. And then they had to buy, after they shot the shot through the door, they went and bought a new door from Home Depot. So they had that too. So everything, they had like a ridiculously solid case. So, but the question was, why? What would make these two become these two horrific, vicious sadists? And they also, before you think that's all they did, let's see, what else did they do? Well, it's a couple of things. They did a couple other things. They started robbing places too. I think the next day, where's the thing where they started robbing? They robbed what were they robbing? Hold on a sec. Let me find the robbing part. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. I just want to see the part where they terrorized the couple, but they were also robbing places. So it's like, okay, here we go. They also broke into a restaurant to steal merchandise. It's like, were they hungry? I mean, what were they stealing from a restaurant? So it's like they went on this crazy, wild, I don't know, drug-fueled, alcohol-fueled spree of killing and doing ridiculous things. Why? And I don't have a good answer for this. I really don't. And so sometimes when you try your profile, you're trying to figure out what in the heck could be wrong with these people. It's very hard to say. If they had been caught, would they have done it again? I would say this. I don't see them as serial killers, but I do see them as very violent people. Kind of what I call, it was a natural born killer types, where once they cross that line, they just like to see how far they can go. And there's a thrill in it. We're in it together, and look what we can do. Look what we're getting away with. And it's that I think is one of the most difficult ones to explain. What could make people who don't need to do this, and when they get together, would embark on something like this. And I don't think there is a good explanation. And they were sloppy too. So obviously they don't have great control over themselves at that moment. It's very hard to explain. And so if somebody says their profile, how would you profile them? I honestly don't know, except that they were a bad combination that combusted. That's all I can really say with those particular people. So wait a minute, let me see. Oh, did you? Oh, okay. You did. Oh, you saw the couple featured several times in crime shows. Yeah, the good comparison of Bernardo and Homolka. I mean, Bernardo and Homolka again were attractive people who should have been able to have a good life together. Even if they wanted to be like little sickos in their own private time, fine. But what made them as a couple do this kind of thing? To throw away their lives, killing and maiming and getting this cheap thrill out of this private world of perversion and cruelty and sadism. So and this is I think also the sometimes adrenaline yeah, that's a good way to point it. Adrenaline junkies, dangerous together, diabolical. Yeah. Thrill kill. I think that is adrenaline. I think it's thrill kill. But it's one of these things where when you get into a court situation, and they always want to know the freaking motive, and you're like, well, I don't know. I don't know. I can make up something, but I can't tell you exactly what would make these people do this kind of crazy stuff. Well, it's clear they have a lack of empathy and they're narcissists, but that's a whole different thing. Okay. And the serpent. Okay. I am going to do a show on the serpent. Okay. Because it's it's super interesting. I watched the entire, in case it'll be coming up. I think I'm going to do, let me tell you what I'm going to do this week. Okay. Okay. Oh, because I wanted to point that out. Okay. Next week, I'm going to do a thing. I think I'm going to do the serpent next week before I head for Puerto Rico. I'm going to do the serpent. He's just been released from prison, by the way. That is Charles Sobhraj, what they call French serial killer. Spent a lot of time killing backpackers, over 20 people at least. Just got released from prison in Nepal. Now he's back in France, and he's already getting ready to sue people and make a lot of money, because that's Charles Sobhraj. But I think they've mischaracterized Charles Sobhraj. So there are going to be I'm going to put a link. Well, there is a documentary which I really liked. It shows him really well. Then there is the Netflix show, The Serpent, which is very good for how the investigation went, how he got eventually caught, some of the crimes he committed. I did not like the representation of Charles Sobhraj in that at all. There's another movie. It's a movie from India. It's called Me or Charles, which is Me and Charles. That guy who plays Charles Sobhraj nailed it. So I'll put all the information, and I'm going to send over that link sometime next week, because he is considered a serial killer, but not necessarily in agreement with that. And you would wonder, why is that? He killed 20 people. Okay. But just as a little heads up on it, this guy killed a whole bunch of people too. This guy was caught in Texas, and he killed, his name is Billy Chimmermer. I think it anyway. He smothered more than a dozen women while he was living in North Texas. They were in retirement homes, and he would smother them and then rob them of their jewelry. And nobody knew there was anybody killing these women because they were elderly in their 80s and so forth. And so what happens is what he would do is tell them, like lay down on the bed and I won't hurt you type of thing. They lay down on the bed and he just takes a pillow and puts it on top of them. Then they're found dead. They're 85 years old. And the families don't ask for an autopsy. They don't see a lot of bruising and stuff. So they're like, oh, even if they saw some bruising, they figured they fell out of bed, whatever. And so all these deaths were happening, and nobody caught on till one woman survived it. But the families were like, why is jewelry always missing? Mom's dead, but why is her jewelry gone? And so now they will put it all together. So is he a serial killer? Killed a lot of women. But what was he doing? Was he doing it for the thrill of the kill? Did he have his downtimes in between like serial killers? Did he, any of that stuff happen? Or was he just getting rid of a witness because he wanted to steal the jewelry and didn't want a witness? So it's a real interesting thing about what is a serial killer. And so I'm going to do more of that with Charles Sobhraj as far as what is actually a serial killer, because that could make a difference how we view, their crimes. One other thing I wanted to mention was, where'd it go? Before I go, I keep saying before I go, I want to mention this one other thing. And where did my picture go? This one missing on me. That's why I forgot to do it. Where's my picture? Is that him? No, it's not him. Oh, I forgot to put him up here. Okay, I forgot to move him over. The issue was about. Let me just tell you what it is. And this is what is more about what I'm going to do this weekend. I'm going to do a show on Tahir Arada. She was I think she was 13-year-old girl, 13, that was murdered in her school in Israel. And guy has been convicted. And there was a show that came out. And it was, let me tell you the name of the show. You can't find it anymore. It's absolutely impossible. It used to be on YouTube. On Netflix. So hold on a second. Let me pull up the name of it. The name of the show was, hold on. Oh, crap. Anybody know the name of the show? If you know the name of the show before I find it. What's the name of the show? Somebody tell me the name of the show. Hold on a second. 610. Crap. I've lost my thing again. Somebody tell me the name of the show. Okay, wait a minute. I'll just put her name in here. It is not available on. I'm going to put a link to it. I'll send that out probably maybe tonight. I'll send that out. It is called, the documentary is called Shadow of Truth. It was on Netflix. It was like a making a murderer type of thing. And it was, people said it was the most amazing thing they saw, that this little girl had been murdered in her school, stabbed to death in a bathroom. And they eventually convicted the janitor, and they don't think he did it. And they have these other suspects that are really good. And so this is all about that. That documentary has vanished off of Netflix. I have no idea why it vanished. It's really weird. It's just not there. And nobody seems to explain where the documentary went to. However, there is a podcast that is based exactly on the documentary. So I'm listening to that now to get all the details that I really needed to be able to analyze the case. But this is a case where they're strongly fighting to prove this guy is innocent. And I just want to point out, in that vein, there are two cases which the Innocence Project has been involved with. And the most recent one is they are now trying to, let's see where it went to. They're trying to get out, hold on. Sandra Melger. If you remember Sandra Melger, she was accused of murdering her husband. And yeah, that one went missing on me too. Oh, yep, it did. Sandra Melger was accused of murdering her husband. And I'll put the link below for that case. I analyzed that. But now and Innocence Project has taken it up, and they're saying it's a ridiculous case. Their claim is that, it's like anybody looking at this case would know it's ridiculous that she ever got convicted. Her daughter says there's DNA now, touch DNA on her scarf and on a safe and different places. And so they're hoping to get her out. So we'll have to see what the Innocence Project comes up with on that. But I think she's guilty. But the Innocence Project is going to do their overtime to prove that she's not. Let's see if they can come up with any proof that she didn't commit the crime. Meanwhile, the Innocence Project also was on Pedro Hernandez. So Pedro Hernandez, I just did the Eaton Pates case, and Pedro Hernandez was convicted of that. And I find it amazing that they convicted him on very, very questionable confession alone and no physical evidence, you would think this is the case that the Innocence Project could win. And I'm on their side. I don't like the Innocence Project really well because I don't think they really care about innocence. I think they care about beating the system, especially if somebody's on death row. They'll come up with any technicality to get somebody out, and then they'll claim they were innocent when they were not. So I find them, I don't trust them, and I don't like the way they work. But they didn't get Pedro Hernandez out, the one guy who thought, hey, they should have a chance on him, and they blew that one. Go figure. So, so the Tayirada case, people, they say 60% of the population believes that the guy that convicted was not guilty. And I'm now studying that case. I don't have an opinion yet, so I don't know if he's guilty or I don't think he's guilty at this point in time. So I got a lot more studies to do before I do the show. So I'll probably do that, I guess, on New Year's Day. It'll probably be the normal 3:00 hour on New Year's Day. So I'm going to do that one. And then the following week, I'm going to do a show on Charles Sobhraj before I catch my plane to Puerto Rico. And I will be, when I'm in Puerto Rico, 2 weeks down there, I'm still going to do my show. And so if you have any Puerto Rican cases, especially, let me know. And I'll do one for the location that I'm at. See if there's something. Kelly says, Pedro didn't act like he did it. Well, he says he did it, but, but again, speaking of, which one is that? You love the camel in my nativity scene. Yes, and this one, let's see. There's this camel, and there's this camel. This is the big one. And I think the humps are intact, Annie, which if you don't know Annie, my joke on that. Yeah, I love this nativity scene. I think it's so pretty, isn't it? And oh, look, Annie, look, it's our donkey Jitterbug. If you don't know, we have a donkey. My family has a donkey. So Jitterbug is in here at the scene. So, whoops, get in there. Get in, Jitterbug. Come on, get back in there. I think it's the prettiest creche I've ever seen. So I absolutely love it. It has a pretty little, you can't see it here, but it's got a light that shines at night. It's lovely. So, but thank you. Graham, let's see, wait a minute. Pat, I'm wondering if some mothers that kill have Munchausen by proxy and how to tell the difference. Yeah. Well, again, first thing to understand about Munchausen by proxy is Munchausen by proxy is not a psychological condition. It's a behavior of psychopathy. Now, mind you, there are people who will argue with me because I'll say you're not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, so shut the hell up. Sorry. This is my opinion, having studied things for years. I find Munchausen simply a behavior, a methodology, just like serial homicide it's not a psychiatric designation. Serial homicide is how certain psychopaths express their psychopathy. So some people express their psychopathy by harming their children or claiming their children have issues or killing all their children one after the other. So they get their attention through harm to their children, as opposed to some other method of getting a thrill. Also, they get their power and control that way too, because when they commit harm, they get people to respond to them and and feel sorry for them and pat them on the back and hug them and whatever they do. If you have somebody like Mary Beth Tinning who kills 9 of her children, every time a child dies, everybody comes to her and says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Mary Beth. Oh, you poor thing." And she gets a massive amount of attention. She's controlling people, like little puppets, And so she gets her thrill that way. Whereas a serial killer gets his power and control and thrill through maybe a sexual homicide. So it's a behavior and a methodology, not a psychiatric condition. Psychopathy is the condition, the personality disorder. And that Munchausen's is just Munchausen by proxy. Sorry, Munchausen by proxy is where you're hurting your children. Just Munchausen's in general is where you hurt yourself or claim you've been attacked or, maybe you've been kidnapped, like some people have claimed. And then you reappear again, and get lots of attention that way. That's Munchausen. You're just using yourself as the victim to get the attention. I don't know this one. Deep cut Barrack shootings. I do not know that one. Ah. Why don't you take a real holiday and don't work on your holiday? There's a reason for this, Anne. Okay, I'm going to tell you what the reason is. Because I want to spend more time in warm places in the winter. I really do, because I hate cold. And usually I go a month to India, a month to Hawaii, a month to Mexico or something. Maybe in the future, 2 months. As my granddaughter gets older and she doesn't need me as much, I can, now that I have fake plant and a dead cat, now I have more freedom to travel. And so in the winter, it's not maybe this winter too much because I haven't planned much yet. I want to be able to get away. So I'm trying to figure out a way to be able to live someplace for a month or 2 or 3 in the winter and take my channel with me. Otherwise, then I just don't do my channel for 3 months. That would, A, I'd get bored. And B, I want to continue my work. So if I can be in a warm place with palm trees, so you may see me in Puerto Rico doing a show, but the next day, I'm going to be someplace really nice in Puerto Rico having a really good time. So, hey, don't feel, I'm still enjoying my vacation. Believe you me, I do. So I will be having a great time. Oh, Lord. Now you have a dead cat and a dead plant. Your options are wide open. Yeah. And it's the first time this has been true in my life, because normally I have a lot of pets and I usually have to get people to watch them and all that stuff. But, I decided, now that my plants died, I can actually move around and not have to think, oh, can you take care of this? How do I do this? And so, I have a little more freedom now. I'm just going to leave it that way for now. I'm not going to get any more pets or any more plants for now. And then when I finish whatever, and I'm going to be more settled again, who knows, I might get something, but for now, I'm just going to let it go. No, I don't want to, Christine. Hey, I've lived in Minnesota for 4 years. No, that's when I first started going to India, because I was living in Minnesota and my friends were Indian. And they said to me, my friend Swana said to me, hey, Pat, do you want to go to South India next month? And my answer was, yes. Are you kidding me? Of course, because she also wasn't too thrilled being in Minnesota in the winter. So for years, my friend, actually, I've done a lot with her. So she's the one that's going to Puerto Rico with me because she doesn't want to be in Minnesota in January. So there you go. Yeah, jet setter. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm on Spirit, if you want to call that a jet, Spirit Airways down to Puerto Rico. But at least it's a through flight, and cheap. So I'll take that one. Allison, Minnesota, the land of a 10,000 ice rings. This is very true. Oh my God, it's so true. Yeah. Lord, it is cold in the winter, but Minnesota is pretty in the winter. The sky is blue, and sometimes when it's cold, it's dry, and you can actually run around in like this. In Maryland, our winter sucks. It's always like 38 degrees and raining. And believe me, it's miserable. So actually, I prefer Minnesota winter to Maryland winter. So I do. It's just Minnesota winter lasts a really long time, and it's a little shorter here. So, oh my goodness. Let me see if I have any other questions you all asked before I'll let you all go and go to work on my Tayurada, which is really a fascinating case. So, yeah. Oh, Fort Hood. Would you consider doing a show on a military-based crime and how to stay safe? On military. So we're not talking about the Fort Hood shooter. It's got more problems than Fort Hood. I'm not. I'll have to look that up. I don't know much about it, but I'll have to check. Is that where the women's kept getting killed off? Is that where? Was that the fort? Is that Fort Hood? Huh. I'm trying to remember now. Let's see if anything else here. Oh yeah, yes. Charles Sobhraj. He only got nailed for. He didn't get nailed for 20 murders. That's the problem. He got nailed for. He got some other things. He's been in and out of prison. He's actually very, very brilliant in a very strange and amazing way, but also very lethal and very, very sadistic and very brutal. So he's an interesting character, let me tell you. Just a fascinating character in his own horrible way. And yes, he is free now. Yeah, he's free. So it's going to be an interesting show. So yeah. So it'll be under my serial killer designation shows because I'm trying to do different serial killers and the importance of what we need to learn from them. And as again, you have to see whether I actually consider him a true serial killer or not. But he definitely was. The story is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So if you start, I would say start with the Netflix one, which is Serpent. It's on there. But then I really want you to see the documentary, which shows us so much more clearly what kind of guy he is. And then May or Charles, I'll send that link over. May or Charles, which is me and Charles in Hindi. Even if you don't watch the whole show, you just want to see enough of it to see how he behaves, because he has it down for how Charles Sobhraj would really behave, as opposed to the one in the Netflix, which I just didn't go for. So, but the rest of Netflix was great. It was a fascinating story. So still worth watching. Definitely worth watching. So anyway, all right. I think I got through most of my stuff. So I probably missed something in here, but I don't know. You all came up with some really good stuff that you sent over, which was fun to talk about. I learned something every time you send something over to me. I learn about cases and I learn about issues that I find of importance. So I thank you for that because I can't keep up with it all. And so without you giving me the suggestions, I would be, I don't know. And I like to know what you find you want to know about and what it is you want to know about these things, because that's how you educate. If it's just not coming from my head, it's coming from, need to know and what it would mean for you to learn a little bit more about something. And it's worth for me to do that. So I like that. Quebec. Oh, Quebec boasts more than 500,000 lakes. Are you trying to put Minnesota to shame? Is that what you're trying to do? It's like, you ain't got nothing on us. So was it Paul Bunyan? Was it Paul Bunyan that made all the lakes and he never got who was his buddy up in Quebec that stomped around and made more lakes up there? I think the Paul Bunyan thing is hysterical. Well, thank you very much. I try to make things make sense. I try to make things I don't have the ability that some people do. They're very, very academic. And I just get lost in that myself. And I say, I don't even understand when it's all said and done, I don't have any more clarity. I don't think the world has to be that difficult to understand, even crime and even evil. Sometimes it's just very basic. And I think if we stay with basics, sometimes we're in a better place than when we get too fancy. So that's just me. So anyway, good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was Kelly. Thank you very much. And yes, it was Paul Bunyan. Yeah, he made the 10,000 lakes by stomping around the big Paul Bunyan in his purple locks. But apparently he's got a buddy up in Canada doing a better job. And I don't know. So good night, everybody. Thank you very much for saying nice things. Yes, you do. And sometimes you got to regulate. Yes, that's a great song. The gangster rap from the 90s. I do kind of like it. I don't like a lot of what they're talking about. And I get upset about a lot of the rappers and the violence and all that stuff. But I do like some of the sound of it. I really do. The sound is good. So anyway, I did a thing on the Robert Wone case, one of the Hangouts, but I don't remember where. Sorry. Oh, hit the like button. Yeah, I never even asked people to subscribe to the channel. Hey, subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Share on true crime stories and true crime show. Sorry, not shows. True crime groups. Not on people's personal channels, but true crime groups, Facebook, whatever. And again, this is an educational channel. I'm going to start really pushing that because I'd rather have fewer subscribers of people who really want to learn than this turns into some kind of big who's fat gossip channel of people pointing fingers. I don't want that. That's not my interest. I don't want that. So I'm going to stick very strongly in education. And so I want the best people who want to learn and then take it into their own lives, whether it be personal or professional, and it does them good and it does other people good. And it's not some nonsense, So anyway, good. Happy New Year, everybody. And I will be back on Sunday with the Tahir Rada case, and I'll send you over the link very shortly. So I will see you all very soon. Bye, everybody.